Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something that's actually incredibly cool and quite unexpected. We have a new TNG model that is out, again another model that I was able to acquire thanks to my good buddy Dino Mike Mac, but on top of that, it's a model of an animal that clearly is not a dinosaur. It's not any sort of like a technically prehistoric creature. We have what they claim is a gorilla, but quite clearly is King Kong. And I must say, again, I'm loving these TNG figures. I love how, they just kind of create whatever they like. They don't just stick to certain prehistoric creatures or anything. They don't stick to certain prehistoric styles. Like, you've got Jurassic Park style dinosaurs, you have accurate style dinosaurs, you have kind of exaggerated style species of, prehistoric creatures, and now you even have kaiju technically, because we've got ourselves a very much so King Kong. And this is obviously Kong, like the newer Kong from Godzilla vs. Kong, and one dead giveaway as to why that would be my assumption is, look what he's got in his hands. He's got himself the axe that he creates, but it's not just any old axe, it's the axe with the Godzilla spine there on it. So you very much so have, again, the Godzilla vs. Kong version of Kong, but on top of that, you actually also have a different version of an axe. So he has two different versions. So I guess if you want to kind of give it the gorilla sort of a look, you can take away the Godzilla spine axe and then give him a more traditional sort of an axe, and you instantly kind of transform your Kong into a crazy gorilla that has gone mad and found itself an axe to kill things with. But regardless, the model itself is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I am very, very impressed with how nice this one looks. I'm always impressed and quite blown away with TNG releases, but this one is actually even better, I think, than your average TNG release. I think that I could probably say this is the best thing that I've seen from them so far when it comes to the overall quality. It's just super realistic, really well done overall. So let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So beginning here in the head sculpt of our gorilla, or Kong, whatever you want to call it, you can see we've got a very ferocious looking appearance here to the face. It definitely looks very angry, that is for sure. Obviously showing the teeth and everything. And one of the things that stood out to me right away is how nice the eyes look. Look at those eyes. They are just beautifully painted, perfectly glossed. They almost look like glass eyes. They're that well done, that realistic. But, the realism doesn't really stop there. You can also see that we've got the nose sculpted out very nicely, but there's also kind of a glossy look there for the nostrils, which is nice to see. And as you move down into the mouth, you can see the mouth as well is beautiful. You've got the really nice kind of like brownish tones there up near the gum line for the teeth, and then they transition to a nice sort of an off-white, which looks really good. You can see all the teeth are sculpted individually. They're all painted individually. We also have a nice coloration for the gums as well as the inside of the mouth in general. You can see the teeth going the entire way back look awesome. We have really nice, even though it's a little dark, there you go. You can see really nice sculpt as well as really nice paint in there. Very nice fine detail. You can also see, again, we've got pinks with like a reddish wash that's been added in there. We've got the tongue sculpted out, and everything inside the mouth has a nice kind of a glossy look to it, so it has that saliva-like look, which is, again, even a better touch to the model. But you can see we've got some nice dark tones for the face, but we have this like light gray that's sort of been dry brushed over the face to highlight all of that skin texture. But as you move up here into the head of our gorilla, you can see again that we've got a nice dry brushing with an alternate tone of color to highlight the fur of Kong very nicely, well, of the gorilla very nicely. You can also see the ears sculpted out and painted right there. You kind of have that same sort of like light gray dry brushing for the ears. And you can also see, again, just generally really nice sculpt and detail for the fur. It is really well done when it comes to showing off, again, a lot of realism in the sculpting of the fur. As you move up into the arms, you can see both arms are held upward in the sky here because it's holding that axe and about to kind of club down on something, or, maybe not just something, Godzilla, of course. But as you lead up through the arms, you can see, again, all sorts of wavy fur, all really nicely highlighted and brought out with that dry brushing. And then you come up here into the hands, and you can see the skin texture of the hands again looks awesome. Really nice fine detail for those hands. Also again dry brushed with that grayish tone similar to what we see on the face. Same deal over here, and you can see the hands are held in a position where you can look straight through, and that gives you the ability to kind of switch out the axis for whichever axe you prefer. As you move down, you can see again the rear of Kong looks awesome. You've got all the muscle definition there in the arms, and as you continue to move down, you can see just generally how muscular the back here is of Kong. But you can also see so much really nice variation of color. You may not pick up on it when you're looking at it from the front, but once you actually turn it around, you can see there is quite a bit of color that's been added to the kind of dry brushing of the fur. I could see variations of like khakis, browns, blacks, all kinds of color variation has been applied to the fur of this gorilla to really highlight all of that detail beautifully. And that continues as you move down here through the course of the back. You continue to see all again that wavy fur as well as that awesome paint application that we have for Kong. You can also see that, I keep going back to Kong even though technically it's a gorilla, but we can very clearly see what it's meant to be. But you can see that one leg is kind of leaning forward here, taking a step as it's preparing to slam down with that axe. You can see the leg is sculpted really nicely. You can make out the knee and everything, the calf. As you move down into the foot, you can see the foot again looks great. You've got that same style of paintwork again with that kind of light grayish dry brushing, which I think looks really good on this. Definitely makes it look very realistic. The nails are sculpted really realistically as well. They look super lifelike, and again, just in general, it looks awesome when it comes to everything on this figure. Again, this is one of the figures I think I was most impressed with. When I first pulled it out of the box, I was just blown away. But as you move up the course of the leg, you can see the opposing leg here is kind of leaning back, which also helps to kind of give it that sort of dynamic visual of Kong lunging forward with the axe. As you lead up, you can see again the fur detail is awesome. Look at that fur detail as you move up the course of the leg. And then up here into the stomach, and we continue to see all of those same variations of color like we had seen on the back here on the front as well. As you move up here through the, of course, muscular looking front of Kong, you can see again on top of the incredible paintwork and sculpt work for the fur. Once you get back here to the skin texture, that as well looks awesome. They've sculpted out the musculature really nicely, and they've even added in a good bit of variation of color here for this area. Like I can even see purplish tones and everything, and I honestly feel like it's almost something you need to see in person to truly appreciate how nice that area looks. So as a whole, this is easily my favorite Kong figure in my collection. There's just no competition. And then, of course, we also have the axe, and you can see they did a very good job of sculpting the axe out, the, Godzilla spine version, to give it that, again, Godzilla spine look with the bluish and sort of like silverish tones of color they've added in there. And then, of course, blacks out around the edge. You can see the strapping and everything looks really cool as you move through. And in general, like the handle for the axe is also really well done. You can see again, sculpt wise, it looks like genuine real wood. They've also painted it out beautifully, so it shows you just how impressive TNG is as a whole. And I love the fact that they've given the entire area up here of the spine and the straps and everything sort of a metallic look, so it stands out in a big way. But we also have the other version of the axe. Now this is of course your more traditional kind of an axe. Also sort of an axe that looks like maybe it's, a handmade kind of axe, has that kind of rough and rugged look to it. But again, nice silver metallic look here to the tip of the axe, transitions back very nicely to a black. And when you look at the axe itself, again, all of the detail looks honestly unbelievable on this. Like, really well done, really lifelike. And again, we have the same sort of strap sort of look, again, how you would create yourself an axe if you were living out in the woods. And then you've got the handle and everything also, again, looking like a very realistic log. So I love the fact that they give you the option of choosing between the two different versions of the axe. If you want to have your Kong or gorilla look like a gorilla, or if you want to have it look like Kong, you can go either way, either route. Definitely really cool on the part of TNG. And just as I said before, to basically apply your axe, you just have to slide it through the hands, and then it holds it very nicely, actually. So that's really, really cool. And of course, you can switch it out for the other axe here if you choose to go that route. I will say the Kong stands pretty decent for the most part. Every once in a while, I kind of have an issue where it sort of starts to fall forward. But once you find a nice spot for it to stand, it's pretty stable. And for the most part, stands pretty nicely. But as far as the size goes, we're only going to go to the height here of the hands. You're looking at about 9 3/4 inches or around 24.5 centimeters. If you actually go to the top of where the Godzilla axe is, it's just shy of 11 inches or 28 centimeters. So for a size comparison, there is our TNG Kong, or Gorilla, next to the Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. And one thing you should be able to see straight away from this comparison is, you know, the fact that this Kong's pretty darn big. It's actually quite large overall, significantly larger, I would say, than pretty much any other TNG figure that I have in my collection, that I've reviewed anyway up until this point. And then just to kind of give you another idea here of the size, you've got the Kong next to a Mattel Velociraptor here, just to continue to iron out the fact that it's pretty sizable. And here we have a pretty fun comparison, because even though you can very clearly see they don't size up perfectly to each other, but we do have the TNG Gorilla, aka Kong, next to the King of the Monsters version of Godzilla from NECA. And this figure was actually sent to me. The Godzilla was sent to me really, really kindly by my good friend King, who I've helped him to acquire a few figures over the years, and he actually was super cool and sent this to me as a total surprise. So since I have a moment where it's actually on screen, I do want to give a shout out and a thank you to King for being absolutely awesome and surprising me with this. I was blown away by his generosity and kindness, and I actually did not have this figure prior to that, so really excited to now have it in my collection. But here is a comparison again next to that Godzilla King of the Monsters version from NECA next to our Kong. We also have a comparison here next to the Nanmu V-Rex, the more, you know, traditional regular version of the V-Rex, and this was a comparison I definitely wanted to see as well. Pretty darn cool to see these figures next to each other. And then for another comparison, we also have the TNG version of the Gorilla, aka Kong, next to the Rebor version of the V-Rex, which was a comparison I definitely thought you guys would like to see. So this TNG Gorilla, aka King Kong, is absolutely awesome. This is unquestionably one of my favorite TNG releases so far, and when it had initially been unveiled, I honestly wasn't that excited about it. I almost didn't even really want it. It wasn't until Dino Mike Mac had mentioned that he had stumbled upon this on a website in Hong Kong, and it was available, and knowing how scarce some of the TNG figures are at this point in time, I was like, okay, yeah, definitely grab that, please. And he did, and I now have it here. And the moment it arrived and I got it out of the box, I was just mystified by how beautiful this is. And now thinking back on the possibility that I would have potentially missed out on this, that's almost madness to me, because it is such a gorgeous figure. The sculpt is really well done. The actual fine detail is awesome. The fur detail as you move through the course of the entire model is extremely lifelike. Same deal for the actual skin texture and everything. On top of that, we've got a really neat, very dynamic pose, which definitely helps to create an amazing visual with this figure. And the paintwork on this is as top-notch as it gets. TNG always has great paintwork, but this honestly is on another level of incredible when it comes to their paintwork. And they've added in so much realism, like the gloss coats on the eyes that look as real as it gets. The really nice variation of color through the course of the body that gives it that super lifelike look. And of course, the saliva-like look on the inside of the mouth. Just realism all over this. And then you also have the option of switching out the two axes to kind of give yourself the Gorilla version or give yourself the Kong version, which is also a great touch, and both of the axes are really well done, just as awesome as the Gorilla itself. So if you are interested in this, unfortunately right now I don't know for sure where it is available. Maybe I was able to get it a little bit earlier through the website that Dino Mike Mac found, and it should start to show up hopefully on AliExpress and stuff sometime soon. But once it does show up, I will absolutely update the description so you guys can order yourself one. But if you find it in the meantime, definitely pick it up. It is fantastic. And also, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.